Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers, and welcome to part 2 of the So You Want to Be an Imagineer Season 10 Historical Retrospective. So let's dive right into it with the lightning round of really strong creative projects that was the middle of Season 10. So first things first, after the Hunger Games project, we had a project that I like to call the Festival of Imagination. This was based on Stratospherius and Imagineer 2017's side contest that sort of failed. And what I did was I brought Stratospherius in, and I was like, Strat, if you were to have a couple just really random So You Want to Be an Imagineer projects, what would they be? Strat came up with two things. He'd be like, well, first of all, it'd be really interesting to see an attraction that was taken over by the Muppets. Just totally redone with Muppet humor and Muppet animatronics and whatnot. And second of all, and this was the even more curious idea, he thought it'd be interesting to see a zombie version of a ride. I had no idea how that would work, but I was dying to find out. So without further ado, I introduced both teams. They either got to pick the Muppets project or the Zombie project, courtesy of whoever got Walt's Vault that project. They decided it. And Team Marceline to start out with. They did one of my personal favorite projects of the season, the Great Zombie Ride. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I love this project. I love it. I mean, the thing I like most about the project is the humor. It blends moments of the attraction that could genuinely be considered scary with moments that are just utterly silly and utterly just hilarious. Like, there's, in the singing of in the rain sequence, in place of Gene Kelly, there's an animatronic zombie who's kind of, like, trying to singing, and he's like, I'm singing in the rain. You know, just zombie. It's like the whole ride was taken over by zombies. It was super creative because the zombie concept was like it was happening outside of the outside of the context of the ride itself. So basically the zombie outbreak was happening it was great. It was just great. It's hard to describe. And then Team Burbank did the Muppet Midway Mania. Now, this was a really, really solid project. Just a really solid project. Creatively, it's just perfect. It's just anything you could ask for. The only problem with it is that, I don't know, I'm just personally not a big fan of Midway Mania. I think it's like, if you don't have a ride that has any sort of physical sets at all, if it's like the whole time you're just shooting at a screen, then basically it's just a portable shooting gallery. And I know that most everyone will disagree with me, but that's just how I feel. More beyond that, though, I was really looking forward to seeing animatronic takes on the Muppets, and I was sad that I didn't get that. I thought that something like well, actually, I was going to say something like Pirates of the Caribbean or Haunted Mansion would work, but I believe Pirates and Haunted Mansion, you couldn't do this project. As a rule, when it comes to redesigning attractions, I genuinely like to avoid Pirates and Mansion just because they're such a big, iconic high watermark, and you can do just an infinite amount of things with them. But I don't know. Personally, I would have loved to see a Jungle Cruise with the Muppets. But, nah, what are you going to do? It was still a really solid project. Comics 101 contributed some really good concept art for it. And in the end, who ends up going home? Who ends up going home? Standings that I need to refer to. I think it was, it was Monkey that went home. And look, I have a sad face and everything. Do you see this sad face? Oh, we're all sad that Monkey went home. Single tear. Yeah, actually, I think I mentioned that last video. Monkey, at this point, just quit. It might have been Fantasmic Fan, actually, that got eliminated. Wow, I just got all the fanfare for nothing. But still, you needed to see the sad face, damn it. Okay, so moving on. The next project was the teams were to either do a project based on Busch Gardens or on SeaWorld. Again, the person who had Walt's Vault would decide that. This is my Team Marceline. Again, they really steamrolled over the competition in these last few projects, because the project they came up with, a SeaWorld project called Deep Sea Explorers, bam, just knock it out of the park. Just completely knocked it out of the park. I love this project. Again, I freaking love this project. I really like the mature scientific tone it's going for. Much like Costa Freak's early cue for the flight simulator, it really had a dramatic, serious sort of like, we're going on a scientific exploration sort of deal behind it. Deep Sea Explorers, it really felt like the type of thing that really should have replaced Submarine Voyage instead of Finding Nemo. So, I mean, what I loved about it is that that's what it was. It really, in a way, it was just a spiritual successor to Submarine Voyage on a big budget with lots of cool scientific exploration stuff. It was just such a cool, nautical, old school kind of project. I love it. Team Burbank's project was, I believe it was based on the Ice Age, I think. It was solid, but I just think that Deep Sea Explorers just overshadowed it, because Deep Sea Explorers is just, oh god, it's one of my favorite projects of the season. I love that project! So it was around the Deep Sea Explorers project that Comics 101 dropped out. Really sad thing about Comics 101, because, I mean, from the get-go, like, this kid really seemed like he was poised for something. He really seemed like he was going to go to the end of the game. It's kind of funny, because the eventual winner, Snoopy, he was really kind of quiet in these opening rounds, but Comics, I mean, between his concept art and the contributions to brainstorming and his overall really solid social game and understanding of the way the game worked, I mean, he was really cut out for something, so it was a shame to see him drop out, and me and Adventure Blue Dude are both really looking forward with bated breath to see what he does in Season 10. 11. I meant Season 11. Caught myself in the editing. Ha 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 ha! Anyways, the next project after this was to design a classic Disney dark ride based on the Fab Five. Actually, I believe what it was to one team was to do a Mickey Mouse project and the other a Donald Duck project. This really brought about, again, one of my favorite projects of the season, Donald and the Hurricane. A water-based dark ride. It was insane because I love the creativity behind it. It was basically like the ride vehicles were kind of a smaller version of a typical whitewater raft vehicle, like Grizzly River Run or Kali River Rapids. But again, it was smaller. I think it fit where most vehicles of that type can fit about 12 people. This could fit maybe about 6. So it was just a more intimate experience that way. And yeah, what I loved about this is that, yeah, it just traveled on a channel of water through the dark ride. It was all about Donald Duck, as the title would imply, getting caught up in a hurricane. I mean, I loved it because it just felt like a classic Disney dark ride with modern technical upgrades. Obviously, the gimmick of it being a water-based attraction was handled to really good effect. If I remember correctly, there were certain parts where there were rapids and stuff like that to correspond with the effects in the story. But also, it really just had the feel and structure of a classic Disney dark ride. So it was a great project. Again, just a really solid effort from Team Marceline. At this point, they were just on a roll. So the person who ends up being eliminated this round, they actually again dropped out. It was Frontierland Fan. Now, Frontierland Fan, she really is one of the biggest fans we have of the game. I mean, it's kind of surreal to think on her Season 11 application, she said something like she'd been following the game since she was 9 years old. Now, you see, to me, that's crazy. I mean, for someone to be following the game for that long, I mean, it's just insanity. It's like, what have I created here? It's like, I really enjoy the fact that there's actually people that devote a large chunk of their physical life to following a game. It's crazy. And I invented it. Ego stroke. Haha, stroke my ego. But anyways, Frontierland fan dropped out because, in her own words, playing So You Want to Be an Imagineer kind of felt like being a contestant on American Idol after wanting to be on American Idol forever and just being overwhelmed by the whole thing. I think the main thing is that she really didn't, it's funny with team-based gameplay because when you throw ideas out and people don't really respond to the ideas, absolutely, that's totally frustrating. I can't really say I've been there because I was in a position of such power in Season 8, but I can just imagine. I mean, maybe if you were playing under me in Season 8 and I was constantly shooting you down, I can just imagine how frustrating that would be. So I think that's the problem that Frontierland fan ran into, was just because every time she'd throw out an idea, it wasn't that people would shoot her down, it's just that her voice wasn't really being heard. So, yeah, she just kind of got overwhelmed by the whole thing, but I'm glad to see her back in Season 11, and I really hope she improves her game. So, Project 8 is when the teams finally merged, and yeah, I should have had all the teams, all the players written down. Let's see if I can remember it off the top of my head, though. We have Man-Eating Wreath, Snoopy, Future Imagineer, Thrill, Basket Buddy, that's 5. Hack 2112. I'm gonna have to refer to my placements. Hack 2112, Adventure Blue Dude, Disney Man 1, Phineas the Ghost, and Star Wars Geek. I believe actually Star Wars Geek got eliminated maybe either at the merge or the round before the merge. I think probably at the round before the merge, I mean. So the next project was to do a World of Color, but with Ludwig von Drake as the main theme or storyline. This is interesting because the World of Color, I feel like I really like the mist technology, and I really think it just looks spectacular. The thing is, let's face it, for all intents and purposes, they turned it into an overlong and overbloated commercial for Disney. Again, personal opinion, just like Midway Mania, I know there's a lot of people that love it, but, whenever I watch a video for World of Color, like, the first 5 minutes, I'm just like, oh my god, like, I'd love to see this live, because I've never seen it live. The last time I went to the park was the year I graduated high school for graduation, and that was 2009, so there's a lot I haven't seen yet. I'm really excited to go back. But I digress. Every time I watch a video, when it gets to the 15-minute point, I'm just like, God, this has just been going on forever, and it just keeps switching between movie to movie to movie. There's absolutely no theme to it at all. I guess there's a flow to it, but it just goes on for way too long. For what it's trying to do, it just goes on for way too long. And since Ludwig, God, that's a hard name to say, Ludwig von Drake, obviously he's the original host of the World of Color TV show, and he's also just a really solid Disney character who doesn't get the kind of representation he deserves. I just felt it'd be a really interesting thing to see. The project itself was okay, but there's really just not all that much that stood out to it. I don't really think the cast really enjoyed working on it. So, moving on from there. Project 9, again, not really a project that people wanted to work on, and I realize now that I messed up because it wasn't the merge yet. Because Project 9 was still split into teams, so I guess Project 10 was the merge. My bad. Project 9 was called The Dark Side of the Rainbow. It was a combination Beatles, Pink Floyd project. This, I think, is probably the single most forgettable project of the season. It's basically the equivalent of the Disney Store project, if you remember correctly. I also think there's another team that was going to do a... Oh yeah, I remember now. We split the team. It was 9 people left, and we split it up into 3 teams of 3. Yeah, I remember. God, I just love the fact that I don't bother to look this stuff up. It's too hard to just go through the actual threads and look up the details. It's too hard. It's too hard. Just have pity on me, even though I'm just totally lazy and took a week to do these. Just have pity on me. But anyways, God, I lost my train of thought. Ha 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 ha. Oh yeah, the three-person split. One team was going to do one based on the Gorillas. One team that ended up just basically being Adventure Blue Dude solo was going to do Pink Floyd. The team that ultimately materialized did another Beatles project. They did the a Magical Mystery Tour Kingdom. This project just didn't really gel with me just because it just kind of felt like a Renaissance fair sort of atmosphere and it didn't really have a lot of Beatles influence on it. There was an I Am the Walrus ride that was pretty creative, but it was just one of those things where the idea itself was fun, but just the way it was presented, the scenes, it didn't really have that good of a flow. So overall, and Adventure Blue Dude to this day, the ideas he had for the Pink Floyd project apparently were stellar, but he never got around to finishing it. And the Gorillaz project got lost to oblivion, so what are you gonna do? That was just a kind of a roadblock. So what was the next project? We merged and... One second. Of course. The next project was Halloween Horror Nights. Ha 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 ha. This was something that was anticipated the whole season. Hack 2112, it was his brainchild. I actually pulled him out of the game to host it for the one project. I was actually really disappointed that Hack didn't post any feedback for this project. I really think when this project was going on, Hack had some sort of personal issues going on or other obligations because he shortly just dropped off the face of the earth. But it was a really, really solid project, though. Insomni. It brought about the character of Insomni, which was just a really, really good creative character. Maybe a little too lighthearted. Just a little tiny bit too lighthearted in some spots with some of the dialogue, but that was literally my only issue with it. I don't even remember the mazes or scare zones all that much. I just remember the character of Insomni was stellar. You've got to love when So You Want to Be an Imagineer can do characters and have them really stick out. I feel like in Season 9, the character that really stuck out was the Prince and Princess from Disney Sunset Guy with the Glasses project. Season 8, the character that really sticks out is Droopy as the Tower of Terror bellhop. There's always one sort of quote-unquote character that really kind of defines the season. So that was that was the second part of Season 10, up until the merge. Coming up, we have quite literally the greatest project of all time in the form of Little Broadway, so we'll be getting to that very soon. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.